broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. This edition of Gun Guy Radio is supplied by Alien Gear Holsters. AlienGearHolsters.com.
Hello and welcome to episode 161 of Gun Guy Radio. This is the podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Ryan Machad, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And if you'd like to help support the Firearms Radio Network, you could go to gunguyradio.com and click on the Amazon affiliate link at the top of the page, and your purchase will go, some of that will go towards helping FRN and shows like Gun Guy Radio. Now, this week, I had a great discussion with Scott Volquartsen of Volquartsen Custom about how the company got started, their mission and core values for the business, their products, and a whole lot more. So I want to thank Scott again for taking the time out of his schedule to speak with me, and hopefully you'll find the discussion as interesting as I did. So with that, we'll head into the main topic, the story of Volquartsen Custom with Scott Volquartsen.
Do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it!
All right, so we're into the main topic. Now, I am joined here by Scott Volquartsen of Volquartsen Custom. So how are you doing today, Scott?
I'm doing real good, Ryan. How are you?
Not too bad. So I've heard a lot of things, a lot of good things about Volquartsen Custom. So I'm not as familiar with the company as I should be, honestly. So when did Volquartsen start and how did it get started?
It was actually started by my dad back in 1974. What he did, but it was more of just a gun bluing, gunsmithing repair shop back then, and it was just a part-time hobby for him. And it was actually done out of a rented house that we lived in back then. And then in 1986, he decided that he wanted to turn his passion into a full-time business, and he proceeded with that. And then in 1998 is actually when we got our manufacturing license and started doing all of our own receivers and complete firearms.
Okay.
And then right around 2005, my brother and sisters actually purchased it from him, and we've kind of been running it ever since then.
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds like it's had a long lineage in the family, and that's awesome. I really like to see those family-run businesses just keep on going from father to son and for daughter.
And that's one thing, we've grown over the years, but we definitely like to keep that family business type atmosphere.
Right.
Both with the customers and even internally, with the guys that work for us.
Well, and people who have an actual stake in the company and really want to see it succeed are going to really try to get the best out of everything they do.
And that's definitely what we try to do.
So, when you first got started, what was the custom rifle and pistol game like? What was the environment? What were people doing? Was it like bullseye PPC stuff with revolvers, or were you seeing more of the rimfire stuff?
It was right around. I got started right around 95. Is when I graduated from school and came back to work for Dad. And that was just shortly after he started doing a bunch of the Ruger 1022 stuff. So he had already transitioned to a lot of the rimfire, only market. But the thing that always struck me is even back then it seemed like custom firearms were more one-off custom type work where, craftsmen would, go to a manual mill or a manual lathe and actually do the design work, and build it one up just like a custom gun would be. And it seems like since that time it's transitioned more into, and it makes for a better product, but it's transitioned into more, CNC equipment, wire EDM machines. So the tolerances are, much better, but it's lost a little bit, in my opinion, of some of the one-off, craftsmanship from different gunsmiths.
And honestly, you see, I've seen more of a focus I've noticed lately, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me like it used to be customers would bring custom gunsmiths their own base guns and have, specify what the gunsmiths should do for them. And now it seems like more of the companies are actually trying to stock models that are specifically designed for competition, stuff that you would only see done by custom gunsmiths back in the, late 80s, early 90s.
Exactly. I would definitely agree with that. And the other thing that's probably changed quite a bit, and this has to do with technology and equipment, it used to be where if you wanted something done, you almost had to take it to a gunsmith to get a trigger job done or to get a rebarreling job done. But with everybody making aftermarket parts now, a lot of guys can do this in their basement or in a garage, without having a lot of gunsmithing experience.
Right.
And like you said, a lot of, back then what were custom firearms designs for specific purposes are now being stocked on the shelves of, both large distributors and even the smaller, one-off gun shops or gun dealers.
Now, in terms of, and you guys, Volquartsen is known for making some really high-quality firearms. Like you said, you guys got into the manufacturing business later on in the corporate life. But you guys are also known for your high-quality replacement parts, and that's where I've gotten my experience with you guys, is with the drop-in trigger units on the 1022. And
okay.
So you guys are known for those high-quality replacement parts, the triggers, the custom receivers, the bolts, and all that other stuff. Do you find more people buying those custom pieces from you directly, or buying all their own parts and assembling them themselves, like maybe doing a custom receiver with your guys' trigger kit and stuff like that?
We actually see more guys buying the aftermarket parts and doing the work themselves.
Okay.
And I think that's just because, it gives the customer, some satisfaction when they are able to buy those parts, put them in their rifle or pistol, and, completely alter what they have.
Right.
And we see a lot of it. Guys will, they want to build it up with their son or daughter or whatever it may be. They want to make sure they're doing the work themselves.
And that, honestly, I kind of see that with the popularity of like the AR rifles. Everybody's building them nowadays instead of, just going out and buying a rifle right off the rack. And people in the gun hobby, the gun industry, they tend to be the kind of people who like to do it themselves anyway. So.
And they're usually a lot more mechanical, hands-on type customers.
Right.
And we still sell a lot of our firearms to, those typically go to, let's say, busy professionals that they're not going to have time to sit in their garage and assemble it. They want it to come in ready to go, off the shelf, take it to the range and go shoot.
Exactly. Now, speaking of rifles and stuff like that, in your experience, what makes a good, accurate, and reliable rifle? And the same thing with a handgun. What has been your experience in terms of that?
I think the number one thing is probably the barrel, and then the way the barrel is manufactured, and not only in terms of just the tolerances of the barrel, but like our barrels go through a machine honing and lapping process.
Okay.
And what that does, it does a great job of, once the barrel's chambered, it helps transition that area from the chamber to the bore. And there's a lot of just little things that we do within our barrels to try to give them the accuracy that they need. And in my opinion, the barrel's the most important. And then after that, probably you got to have a good trigger pull to be able to, shoot the groups that we're looking for.
Right. Yeah, it's more of a system than it is just any individual part. Realistically, it's a bunch of really high quality parts working together, put together right, and working in concert to get the result you really want. Exactly.
If you look at a rifle, it comes down to, you got the barrel, the trigger, but then it has to be bedded into the stock properly. It has to have the right rings, the right optics. Then it's always overlooked, but the shooter's got to be able to do their part as well.
Right.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable and concealable holsters on the planet, is offering big savings with our new 2-holster combo. Now you can buy 2 complete holsters for as little as $49.88. Choose from any available holster styles and colors for the guns of your choice. All of Alien Gear's quality products are made right here in the USA and include a 30-day trial, forever warranty, and free shell trades for life. Visit aliengearholsters.com today.
Now, I am really intrigued, and I really, really like the look of the Volquartsen Evolution rifles. And when I think Volquartsen, the thing that springs to mind for me is rimfire. But these are actually centerfire in 223 or 204. So what was the inspiration behind those?
We had a lot of customers always asking us if we were ever going to build a centerfire. And for a long time, our backlog just didn't allow for us to get into that. But approximately probably 10 years ago, we decided that was something we wanted to do. And when we got into that, we wanted it to look different than what everybody else had out there in a 223 or a 204. As you mentioned, there's so many aftermarket AR parts and AR rifles that are out there. We didn't want to necessarily compete with that or get into that market because we couldn't think of anything that we could do that hasn't been done already. So we decided to go a different route and make it more into a sporting-looking rifle. And the biggest challenge on that was to be able to get the gas port down under the stock and pretty much keep it completely concealed.
Right. It looks very nice. Now, did you encounter any pressure issues with the 204? Because I know that's a real hot-stepping cartridge, and I'm not sure I don't have the pressure specs in front of me, but that would seem like it would be a really, really high-pressure round.
They were actually very similar to the 223 in that regard.
Okay.
And, we had to change a few things as far as our gas port hole size, the location of the gas port. But other than that, we were able to, everything else pretty much stayed the same. The bolt carrier, the entire piston system that we use is able to remain the same for the 204.
Okay. Now, the one question I do have, and it's actually on your next rifle here in terms of challenges, because I'm thinking about this in my head. I'm thinking, all right, so you guys did the Fusion takedown rifle, and one thing I've noted is that I see a lot of companies who try to do semi-auto rifles in 17 HMR and in 17 HM2. Yeah, that is it. And they seem to encounter problems with like pressure issues. I think Ruger did a 1022 or a 1017 in that. And did you guys encounter any problems with when you were doing that with the Fusion takedown rifles?
Not really on the Fusion. And what we've noticed, there's definitely a lot of pressure there, and the HMR is loaded to the upper level of what a rimfire cartridge can handle, in that design.
Right.
And the biggest thing we found is we had to keep our tolerances extremely tight in regard to the way the bolt works, in regard to the way the trigger, everything works on that. Every time it seemed like we would try to take a shortcut and go to a more mass-produced trigger component or maybe not measure the bolts the way we had been. That is when we started to encounter some issues with it. So right now, actually, what we do on the way we design our bolts, each one is measured on a digital height gauge.
Okay. And
the head spacing itself has to be kept plus or minus a half thousandth in order for it to go into a rifle and go out the door.
Wow. Yeah, that is some very, very precise measuring.
And it is, but we found when we went away from that, we would start to encounter not only pressure problems, but we'd run into extraction problems. The accuracy wasn't where we wanted it. So just a couple different things.
It's a really interesting design. I like the way the stock mates with the back of the receiver. It does not look like your typical, because it sort of resembles the 1022 receiver in a way, but it doesn't look like that. It has a very distinct look about it, and the takedown feature is just awesome. And you're looking at these parts, and I've never held one in my hand, but you can just tell it just reeks with quality.
Well, and that's the way we tried to design it, because we had a lot of guys, because our rifles are expensive, so we had a lot of guys looking for, something they could interchange barrels with between the 22 mag and the 17 HMR, because so much of it is similar between the two.
Right.
But with all of our other semi-auto rifles, all of our barrels are threaded in.
Okay.
So, and they're indexed to that particular rifle, so a customer doesn't have the ability to change it between 17 HMR and 22 mag, which is why we decided we want to come out with the Fusion.
So you just basically unscrew, is it similar to like a Delta ring type of system, except you're unscrewing it and then just pulling the barrel out?
Correct. What you do is we have a shroud that holds everything in place. You unscrew that, it's just counterclockwise. The barrel slides out, you can slide the new barrel in. There's a locating pin on the top of the barrel to help line everything back up. You tighten the shroud back down and you're ready to go.
I mean, looking at the specs here, you get a 6 pound, 2-ounce base weight, 2-pound trigger bowl, integral Picatinny rail, and just it looks awesome. Now that barrel, is that wrapped in carbon fiber?
We do not wrap our barrels in carbon fiber. We actually just use a carbon fiber sleeve.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is it allows actually for an airspace between that smaller barrel diameter and the sleeve itself. And what we found is when we originally got into wrapping our barrels with carbon fiber, they would heat up very quickly and accuracy would go away on them with any sort of rapid fire shooting.
Right.
So, and that wasn't, we wanted to make a lightweight barrel, but that wasn't our intent to lose any accuracy in the process. But we found by leaving that airspace between the barrel and the sleeve itself, it'll actually help that barrel cool. So we get much better results than we did when we tried to wrap the barrel. So what we end up doing is just using the rigidity of that carbon fiber sleeve to help put tension on that barrel and eliminate a lot of the barrel vibrations that you would normally get by using a smaller barrel diameter.
And that kind of touches upon my next question. Now, does the fluting that I see you guys do on the barrels, do the different designs serve a specific purpose, or is that just to increase the surface area and the heat dissipation?
Mainly just to increase the surface area and heat dissipation and help lighten up the barrel.
Okay.
Like our eye-fluted barrel, that'll actually remove a few more ounces than what a straight-fluted barrel will in terms of overall weight. But to say there's a difference between like our snake fluting, eye fluting, or straight fluting as far as accuracy and performance, we really haven't ever seen anything in that regard.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of curious because I see all the different designs, and I was like, I wonder if there's actually a different purpose for each one of those. So that's a great answer. And for me, I'm obviously the host of Handgun Radio as well on Firearms Radio Network, and so the pistols, I really, really like the modifications you guys do to these Ruger Mark IIIs. And so my favorite, I had a hard time picking between the Masters and the V6, but I think the V6, the barrel and everything is my favorite. So what was the inspiration behind that specific design?
That one was actually one that Dad designed, and it's been around for probably 25 years or so. And the biggest thing he was trying to do was reduce weight. You know, all the barrels we use in our pistols are 1-inch diameter.
Okay.
So they provide great accuracy, but they're also can be heavier than a lot of guys are used to. So he was trying to find something that would balance what he felt optimally both one-hand or two-hand shooting. And he just, it involved a lot of playing around. And back then things were a little bit different when we didn't have 3D printers and 3D modeling software to draw everything up, so you had to, draw it up on paper and then machine it and see what it looked like.
Right.
So I know he went through several different designs until he finally settled on that V6 design. And it's one we've always kept in the catalog because no matter what trade show we go to or whenever a guy has a chance to handle that one, it's still, guys will tell us balance is better than anything else that we offer.
Oh, it looks fantastic. I mean, it's not a really long barrel, which is one thing I've never really been a huge fan of on the Mark III on the Ruger pistols. It just doesn't seem to balance for me. I think the shorter barreled ones balance for me better, and that just looks awesome. And in the V2000, was that sort of an updated version of that? Because it kind of looks similar.
They're very similar. The V2000 has an aluminum underlug,
okay,
where the V6, it's a stainless steel underlug. And so the V2000 is actually slightly lighter, but in my personal opinion, the V6 still balances better than the V2000 would.
Right.
And so much of that is shooter preference, because everybody will, it seems like everybody has their own individual taste of what they like best when they pick up a firearm.
Right.
But like I said earlier, that V6 is just one that no matter where we go or who picks it up, even at like the SHOT Show recently, guys will pick up all of our pistols that we base around the Ruger Mark III, and they just keep going back to the V6 and say, I just really like the way that one feels.
Now, the Ruger pistols, the Mark series pistols in general, not so much the Mark I, but the Mark IIs and the Mark IIIs, I seem to hear everybody loves them, everybody has one, but they tend to have these little interesting quirks or problems. Now, when you guys are designing these pistols, what problems did you guys encounter with these base guns?
The biggest problem, I think, that at least what we hear on the phone is customers are always complaining about the field stripping of a Ruger Mark II or Mark III.
Okay.
And a lot of that...
That's the main complaint
comes down to that mainspring. We hear it, probably every day. Guys want to know how they can get around that. But it's one of those things that if you did it on a regular basis, it becomes second nature to you. But most guys, as we know, don't, cleaning isn't something they like to do. They prefer to be out shooting on the range.
Right.
So when they do it, once every few months, it really gives them fits on that. And then but the one thing that we've done over the years is all the aftermarket parts that we make for that are items that we are trying to improve upon what we always hear on the phone, guys telling us is their complaint with like the Mark II or the Mark III. It's a great base pistol, but there are, a few things guys, they prefer to replace the trigger parts a lot of times to get a lighter trigger pull. And then we have a variety of different grips to change the way the pistol feels in their hand.
Well, and it looks like these grips you have on the V6 kind of straighten it out a little bit, because I know some people really don't care for the grip angle.
Correct. It does straighten it out, and it gives it almost a little bit more of like a conventional 45 style feel to it.
Right. That's what a lot of people go. Well, Ruger offers that the 2245 grip frame. So do you see anybody? Is that something you guys work with at all, the 2245?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we can basically all the conversions that we do to our Ruger Mark III, we can also do to their 2245 frame.
Okay. Because, I know a lot of people like that one as well, especially because of the different grip frames. So.
Correct. And they've done some really neat things on their newer 2245s, with some different colored sleeves on their light, their 2245 light model.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool to see them getting into that.
Yeah, the different alloys and the different top ends as well. Now, in terms of the future and what's going on at Volquartsen, what projects do you guys have going on currently or lined up in the future that you'd like to tell the listeners about?
The biggest project we have going is hopefully it'll probably be in April, we're going to be releasing our semi-auto 17 Winchester Super Mag rifle. It was one that we had a prototype at the SHOT Show 2 years ago, and then we encountered a few issues along the way during production. But we've got all those ironed out, and everything is working phenomenal. The accuracy is better than we could expect out of it. So we will start shipping those in probably mid to late April of this year.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And that's, probably of all the items we've ever released, had the most interest or the most popularity from our customers.
No, now for the people that didn't see that, what that cartridge again, what was that?
It's the 17 WSM, which is the Winchester Super Mag.
Okay.
It's around that Winchester released, I believe, 3 years ago at the SHOT Show. And now there's a few other companies, I think, that are getting into manufacturing that particular round. And there's a few other rifles that are out now. So it's starting to become a little more popular. And it's one that'll give you 3,000 feet per second at the muzzle out of a rimfire.
Oh, wow. That'll be phenomenal. Now, is that going to be something like your Evolution, similar to that?
It'll actually be more along the lines of our rifles, like our 17 HMR and 22 mag semi-autos.
Okay.
Where it'll be a direct blowback.
Oh, all right. Excellent. That will be very, very nice. And there will be links in the show notes to all these things that we've discussed. So where can people find more information about Volquartsen, Scott?
We're on the web just at Volquartsen.com. You can find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Volquartsen, as well as on Twitter, which is at Volquartsen Guns.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I think the listeners will really enjoy this interview, and will probably really want to find more information about Volquartsen. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to speak with us.
Well, thank you, Ryan. It was nice talking to you.
Alrighty, and with that, we'll head into the wrap-up section.
Ballroom jeans, fire hose work pants, and long tail tees are three favorites among the men of Gun Guy Radio. Duluth Trading Company has perfected the art of clothing the manly man. If you want manly comfort that's trusted by these gun guys, go to gunguyradio.com/Duluth and check out the other manly essentials Duluth Trading Company offers gun guys like us.
Well, that was a great interview with Scott Volquartsen of Volquartsen Custom. I really appreciate him taking the time to speak with me, and I definitely need to take a closer look at their line of pistols. The V6 and the Scorpion I think are really interesting, and I'm also really intrigued by their Evolution series of rifles, so I definitely need to take a look into those a little bit further. So,
Gun Guy Radio says thank you, and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. HunterofDesign.com.
Hey, it's Jake here, just checking in here on Ryan, and I wanted to make sure that you're enjoying this episode of Gun Guy Radio. And if you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/gun. What is Patreon, you may ask? Well, Patreon is a simple way for you to crowdfund every episode of Gun Guy Radio. If you're enjoying this show, you can go over to patreon.com/gun and pledge either $1 an episode or $5 an episode to, throw your support behind Pro Gun Radio like this. And also we have some companies that are throwing their support behind Gun Guy Radio by giving some gift cards and gear to send out and random battle boxes that go out to only our patrons here at Gun Guy Radio. Alien Gear Holsters have given $25 gift cards. Works Holsters have given $25 gift cards. LA Police Gear has given some bags, and Duluth Trading Company has given $50 gift cards. Not to mention Duke Cannon Supply Company has also given field box gift packs of big-ass bricks of soap, and GunGoddess.com has also included $25 gift cards. You can get all that and more in a random drawing of our battle boxes that we send out to the exclusive group of patrons of Gun Guy Radio. So walk, don't run over to Patreon. Wait, I said that wrong. Patreon.com/gun.
Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of Gun Guy Radio. Please remember to subscribe to us on iTunes so that you never miss a show, and please leave us a review there as well, gunguyradio.com/iTunes. Also, please consider joining the NRA and also the Second Amendment Foundation. There are links there in the show notes. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network. This is Ryan Machad. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. Are you looking for an extraordinary daily carry option? Look no further. Car Arms is giving away a P9 with night sights right here on the Firearms Radio Network. It's Car's EDC drawing. To enter, simply become a Patreon of any Firearms Radio Network show. Current patrons are automatically entered. But wait, there's more. Keybar, Hellbent holsters, Alien Gear holsters, Precision Ear, and more have ponied up to enhance your EDC loadout. See all of these awesome prizes and more ways to enter at firearmsradio.tv/EDC.